Oh, I see. Okay, one second. Here we go. Okay. All right. Okay, we're doing case number 5, sample 5 today. Last week's class, sample 4, called me and they liked it, so they're going to make comments about how valid it was and how it worked for them and get some feedback to show how the things we were talking about related to their lives and stuff. So if anybody wants to do that, well, even for the chart, when you had your chart done or whatever, to make a little feedback about it would be useful, and I just send it out to the other. We'll go out to the people who got the video, and yeah, we're just an aid to confirming it. What I'm trying to do is just get the structure of looking at a chart, the 30 steps, and using the 30 steps until you're just used to doing it, and you'll notice if something's missing with it. So like whenever you leave things out, you can still talk about astrology, you still can use it, but you're not doing a thorough assessment. Once you've gone through these 30 steps, you've got a very good basis for understanding the person and their chart. There's all kinds of extra little things you can add in. You can add in extra planets, extra asteroids, other things. To me, there's enough work just to do with the basic planets, you know, and being able to work with what we have. So this is what I consider the foundations. And if you do these steps, you have an in-depth sense of a person. And anytime something comes up that's affecting any one of their planets, or you're trying to understand one specific area of their life, you can look at it and take the layers and go through the layers and the levels and put it in perspective. What the 30-step process does, it integrates the worksheets that we do with the planets and signs, planets and houses, planets and aspects. It adds the point totals. It adds a kind of statistical analysis of the main factors and how they pile up in the chart in the main categories. So you get a total of another perspective on it. That's a good guideline. And the pattern types and the moon phases are invaluable. They really are the great starting point, because you can use both of those even without knowing someone, usually even without knowing the time someone's born at. They'll stay the same. And yeah, so then our first 3 steps is a pattern type, the moon phases, the sun, moon, and ascendant. And then we start with the points. So we're just going to start with this. And okay, let's see. Excuse me. All right. So we look at a pattern type. Now we got a different pattern type. And you could sort of look at it as, you could think of it looks half like a seesaw. You can almost think of it like a seesaw, but really there's these empty areas between Saturn and Mars and the moon they're less than a sextile. So this is a more roundabout pattern. It really ends up being a locomotive type with the empty trine. There's a trine from the moon to Neptune. There's the empty trine. And with the locomotive, there's a focus, and the focus is the planet moving clockwise into the empty trine. So in this case, it would be the moon. That would be the hand on this. So it's the locomotive type. And here we go. All the planets are evenly spread around 2/3 of the chart. There's the empty trine. This is a very powerful pattern. Power will emerge from your strong sense of a lack or a need. Something seems to be missing, and you are the person who can fix it. You will be driven to achieve things and solve problems. You are a self-driven, powerful individual, very dynamic and practical. You will be moved more by factors around you and your environment than by your own inner character. The focus planet will be the one moving clockwise into the empty trine and will reveal the nature of your drive. So when we look at this chart, you can see there's the moon as the focus into it. So it's like there's all the planets all spread around evenly, but this emptiness has to be filled. It has to be worked. So in this case, the drive is the moon. It's the needs. It's the feelings. The person going to drive to take care of security, to take care of feelings, to take care of nurturing people. They might always want to be nurtured. Someone's not getting nurtured enough. Someone's not being cared for enough, or is cared for too much. You know, they're going to be working to try and fix it, try and work with it. It will be an instinctive thing. Let me cook for you. Let me make this for you. Let me get you comfortable. Let's make you secure. It would be like that. And the same thing could, yeah. Okay, so it was just this need to use the moon and one's feelings and one's instincts to tune into what's missing and then feel a need to fix what's missing and to fill in. Okay, so, okay, I'm just gonna take care of that. So this is the unique pattern type of it. It's narrow, so it has to have the empty trine and the planets have to be around it. So like the bucket, it's the complement of the bucket. The bucket or the bundle has everything all on one side, complement of the bundle. Bundle's all on one side, and this is everything but the bundle. So where the bundle has all the conjunctions, this has some of the oppositions and squares and is working around it, working for the opposite way of it. Okay, we want to get the moon phase. Here the sun is, you see the sun here in Virgo. So you look at the opposite point, the beginning of Pisces. And the moon will move, the moon will move away from the sun to Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, up to the end of Pisces, at the beginning of Pisces. Then that would be where the full moon would be. Since it's past the full moon, it's moving back, Pisces, Aries. It's in Aries, it's moving back towards. So if you look at the half of the chart, the moon is on the clockwise half from the sun. That means it's moving back counterclockwise towards the sun. So we know it's a waning moon. To get the aspect, to get the phase is 135.47. Okay, now with the phases, it's not like the pattern types. You can't allow the orb around this. It's a more exact measurement. So it's 135.47. So it's between 135 and 180. So it's going from 180 from the full, it's the waning full moon phase. It's the very end of the waning full moon phase, just as it's becoming the gibbous moon. So it's 3.5 days after after this full moon. So here we go. This is really, it was just the 3 days to 3.5 days before just after the full moon. So this is the first phase of the waning moon, the waning full moon. So it was 135.47, just a little bit was at the end of that phase, but it's still in this phase. Here the sun and moon oppose each other and the moonlight begins to wane. The period lasts for 3.5 days exact after the full moon. The individual sense of freedom begins to be replaced by a need to belong. It is easy to feel alone and far away from others, but a new urge surfaces that wants to bridge that gap. The past and the future contrast each other. Every time you want to reach out, the past seems to hold you back. Every time you try to hold back and rest contented, the future forces you to act. There's a strong distinction between your family roots and your personal goals. This distinction yields awareness. You know what you can and cannot do, and who you can or cannot help. It's an instinct. Now that's interesting. It's an instinct that hits the nerve of the moon being the instinct running, being the focus of the pattern type. So it puts power on the moon, and here we have the moon's instinct, knowing what it can or cannot do, but the pattern type is trying to make it, I gotta fix what's made, I gotta fix what's missing. In this phase, inadequacies are exposed. Based on your awareness of vulnerabilities and shortcomings, you will take the initiative and adapt as needs demand. Again, you see this adapting as needs demand, but really, since this is a contrast, because with the locomotive, it's pushing to fill it, to answer the needs. So as needs come up, it's going to push to solve, and it's going to try and be ahead of the game. More than adapting, it's going to keep trying to do the next thing. So it's reinforcing this move. You'll try to adjust to the requirements of the environment, but you also must make a strong effort to maintain your individuality. There will be times when you'll have difficulty concentrating, as you'll be pulled in two directions. You try to maintain a certain sensitivity to both sides of your life. Every month around the full moon, or 3 days after it, you'll feel that your plans go out the window and are replaced by a sense of deja vu. You get a contradiction here. You're getting a person trying, this is needed, I'm going to go do it, and you get a sense of what's going on. I'm being pulled two ways. What do I do? So they're going to see it. They're going to be trying to do it, but the moon phase is creating a puzzle. You will sense that there's something is going on around you, and you might lose focus about what it actually is. It's important to be aware that you will go through these periods of irrationality or seeming lunacy, and that when you do, it is probably the full moon. You have a sense of personal fulfillment, but need to make adjustments to include other people in your life. You tend to look for what or who is missing in your life. You are capable of so what and who is missing, you're looking for who's missing, and then you're going to need to help them or nurture them. You're capable of deep understanding, but are usually out chasing the missing dream. You do need to find true understanding and the meaning of life, as it will lead to stability. It is easy for you to express your concepts creatively, but you need to discover which ones are worth expressing. In this case, you can feel the pattern type creates that this one we'll go with this one. You know where you're coming from and what you were doing, and you still feel something is missing. You search constantly for security and you want attention. However, you cannot go back to the past nor to the family for it. So there's both a conflict and a latent compromise inherent in this phase. You usually see what is going around you, but are often uncertain of the solutions. Look for the compromise. When you expect too much of others, you will get hurt, and you'll want to nurture. You want to nurture and be nurtured, but only on your terms and conditions. Now, this is a contradiction to the pattern type. Once you give affection, you must let go of it. Try not to attach conditions of your love and feelings. Do not be a Klingon. Give your feelings freely. There's always more where it comes from. So here we've got a kind of puzzle. It's this pattern type with this. One is sort of dissipating. One sees what's needed and wants to fix it. The other is, should I want this? Don't I want this? It's double thinking it. So you could imagine someone who meets someone and says, I can see what you need. We need to have a kid. We need to have a family. We need to have home. We need to get this because it's missing. And it's pushing to get that. So in one way, that can be really strong thinking. Now, it's going to depend a lot. In this case, the moon will depend a lot. When we look at the moon and the sign and these things, it'll start to take us into the next level of this. Okay. So